Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Where We Are and What's Next with Paytm First Games and Riot Games. I'm your host, Kiran Noojibail, aka ShaDeSLaYeR. Before we jump straight into it, let's go around with a quick round of introductions with our panelists here today. Sudhanshu, let's start with you.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Kiran. Hello, everyone. My name is Sudhanshu. I am the Chief Operating Officer at Paytm First Games. I've been leading the gaming division of Paytm for the last 2 years. And I'm an avid gamer myself. I used to be, struggling in and around the local Gurgaon circuits of Counter-Strike, way back in 2001, 2004. And, then of course, life takes turns. I ended up working and all of that. Now my gaming is mostly restricted to playing some PS4 titles and playing shooters on my mobile. But gaming has been always very close to my heart, especially esports. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with Sukamal, Anurag, Gagan, and Right to Ace as well. It's I'm really excited about the esports space in India. And all the stuff that not just us but everyone else also is now doing. So look forward to having a chat with all of you.
Anurag, you're up next.
Hey guys, my name is Anurag. So I got back into gaming in '99. That's when I started my first gaming venture, which fortunately for me got acquired by Reliance. So I was heading a Reliance gaming company in 2001. 2001 to 2006, I was there. Then I had a couple of stints with Karida. That's where I met Sukamal first time. We worked together in Karida. Then I was the country manager for Red Octane, the Guitar Hero series. Then, I don't know, life took turn for me and I got out of gaming, not from playing, but working in gaming for a decade. And one fine day, I got a call from Riot that they are looking for a country manager. Would you like to join? And then that's where my entry was back into gaming after a decade, and I was country manager for Riot. Then I had a 1-year stint at Jio as head of esports, and now I am at Paytm working with Sukamal, with Sudhanshu, and of course on day-to-day having the interactions with Gagan and Tejas. So that is my journey.
Up next is the man who's holding all the answers to the questions most of our viewers are having today, Sukamal.
Hey guys, thank you so much for making this happen, Anurag, Sudhanshu, Gagan, Ace, and Kiran as well. I'm very pleasure to be here, and hello to all people who are whoever is watching this. And yes, I've always been a core gamer, and even overstayed for a couple of years in college because I loved gaming, and of course that the college also loved me equally to let me stay back for a couple of years more. So I'm talking about the early 2000s as well. I think around the same time, Sudhanshu and I think we crossed paths in a couple of events as well, but I'm sure that we won't recognize each other because we used to look very different from back then. But after that, yes, being working in the gaming, short breaks to work on with some other companies as well, but would definitely find a way back to come back to gaming as well. Doesn't matter where or what I was doing, and was very fortunate to have worked with some of the biggest giants in the Indian gaming industry, including Anurag himself, right? So 2 times actually, not just once. So been there for a long time, helped or at least try to help the industry as much as possible. And now I think ready for us to bring back some of the things that we have always been wanting as gamers, and always being being slightly away from the limelight. I think now it's a time for India to really shine and really want to be part of this big story that we are now going to create for the industry here. So as a gamer, I still play a lot of games. So I play a lot of Legends of Runeterra. So I am a diamond level player as of now. So definitely hope to make it to Masters soon as I find some more time. But yes, really looking forward to playing with you guys and bringing some really core things and offerings from Riot Games to our player base in the country as well.
Sikhwarrior?
Hello, everyone. So my name is Gagandeep Singh, Sikhwarrior. As you all know, is my YouTube and in-game name. And I've been gaming since around like 2009 and 10, multiplayer gaming, 2009 and 10. And I started with Counter-Strike 1.6 and then, journeyed through Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Overwatch, PUBG, and a lot of other games after I became a full-time streamer, which was itself a story for another day because a person who just completed studies joined an IT firm and started his channel and then left his job to pursue streaming as a career, which is in fact not a well-known profession in India. Like people and parents don't know about this profession and they don't know anything about what is esports, what is gaming, what is streaming. So coming from that background and doing this as a full-time professional gamer and streamer now, so it had a lot of lows and highs. So like I've been playing Valorant since closed beta. I've been asking Anurag for the beta key since day one, and as soon as I got my hands to the beta key, so I started enjoying this game. This game is so much fun, and like I fell in love with a new game which came out. Like I fell in love with PUBG, Counter-Strike when they came out, and I followed that game through the journey it took, and I still every day play Valorant and try to be good at it. So it's now this, and we are talking here with all these people in the room.
Yeah, we're going to have so much of stuff that you guys are waiting to hear about. Ace.
Hello guys, my name is Tejas Sawant and people know me as Ace or Right to Ace, and I've been playing Counter-Strike since I guess half of my life or more than half of my life. I'm 26 years old, playing 1.6 and playing CSGO since the beta and attending a CSGO major in 2014 representing India. And then recently I announced that I have like completely left CSGO, like retired from CSGO and moved on to Valorant. So I had a chance to play the Valorant beta thanks to Global Esports. I had to stream the game for the content, and I played on EU beta like 130 ms. But the gameplay, like I like the game very much, and I think it suited the playstyle which I played in Counter Strike. Like the game is quite different. Like the game you approach as a professional, it's like very different. Like it's hard to explain in words, but I felt this game is like made for me. So I wanted the drop, and then you had to connect your Twitch account to your Riot account, and for 1 week I was watching streams every day, every night. I want the drop, I want the drop, I want the drop. And after 1 week I got the beta drop, and then since then I've been grinding this game so hard till date. So yeah, that's my journey for Valorant.
Are you Radiant as yet?
He already
Yes,
is.
I'm the first Indian Radiant as far as I know.
Awesome. Congratulations. I mean, like, that's an impressive achievement, by the way.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
That's a very big.
Yeah, sorry, Kiran. I feel so honored sitting with people like Tejas and Gagan, who I give, if you ask me, I give them all the credit making Valorant as much popular as it is now in the community.
Awesome.
And
thank you.
And as far as I remember, Ace hit a Valorant rank in his EU account as well before this launch, right?
No. It was almost like close to Valorant. It was Immortal 3, the second last.
So he's able to restart his journey back again. He's pretty much back at the pinnacle. So awesome, man. We have Sudhanshu here with us. So first questions to you. One of the biggest gaming platforms today with millions of gamers playing over 300 games. Why did Paytm First Games also enter into core esports earlier this year? And how has the journey been since?
Right. That's a very interesting question, Kiran. When we started out, we actually started out with just, a lot of casual games. And, the Indian gaming industry has been going through its sort of explosion in the past couple of years. So we also got into everything else. And then something also changed is, we've always believed that gaming, and especially competitive gaming, is much bigger, is much more engaging than what it has been usually seen as in India. An activity which involves 500 million plus gamers across the world, and also like millions of users in India as well, where people actually spend hours and hours in a day, honing their skills in a particular genre or art. That deserves a much bigger pedestal than what it has been traditionally given. So that was a core belief that we've always had. And what actually changed in the last couple of years is a lot of macro things. So traditionally esports globally has been heavily on the PC, which sort of alienated the Indian user, because India sort of just skipped the PC generation and straight away went to smartphones, right? The other thing is, the data and smartphone availability becoming so massively affordable that, now anybody who wanted to be a gamer could actually just start, playing on their phones and not have to worry about the costs. So all these macro factors suddenly started making some, huge tectonic shifts in the Indian gaming scenario. And with that, the ecosystem also started developing very fast, right? So, things like streaming, things like sharing content, multiplayer, even the speed, everything just improved. And that's when we realized that this is probably now the right time for us to also get into esports. While we keep doing the casual games and all the other stuff, now the entire community is actually having enough tools and resources to, start engaging a lot more. And that's when Anurag also, came on board with us, and somehow we connected on, what is our vision on where we want esports to be. And just before I talk about how our journey has been, I just wanted to also talk about our vision, right? So for me, and I mentioned in the introduction, I've been a Counter-Strike player, right? For me, it's a little bit disappointing that a country as big as ours barely features anywhere in, the overall esports map all over the world, right? How is that even possible? And, when me and Anurag met, we actually discussed this, and we realized that, it's not just him and me wishing it to be changed, but it's an entire ecosystem that we have to help build and be a part of, starting from, esports happening, not just, for pro players, but even for, the not so experienced players. So Anurag came on board, and we agreed on this vision that, hey, let's put India, let's actually, when you look at the global esports map, India should be this huge, bright spot, which it, may not be today. So that's the vision we agreed to. And that's when we jumped into core esports as well. And, our journey has been really interesting. We actually just started out with sort of like, testing the waters. We started out with a small tournament for Clash Royale. And, and I was new to organizing esports. And, we opened registrations in 2 hours. The 500 or 1,000 registrations we had opened was completely filled up. And Anurag called me and he was like, this has never happened before. I was like, what do you mean? I mean, I'm from Paytm, right? We have hundreds and millions of users. So why are you so excited about 500? He's like, no, it's just, we've just never, India has never seen that many registrations also for a Clash Royale tournament. So I asked him, so, how big do you think we can make this? And he's like, I don't know, let's just open it up. And we opened it, and then eventually we got some 11, 12,000 registrations, right? Which by far ended up being like the biggest Clash Royale tournament. And that obviously created a huge validation for us. So, the validation was on the thesis that there is an appetite, there is a market for esports. The other fact that, with the help of the reach of Paytm and the overall Paytm First Games ecosystem, we can actually reach out to gamers and create something large and engaging enough for them. And then from there on, the journey has been really interesting. We have we've launched a couple of more tournaments. We just did one for team fight tactics as well. We've also announced, a couple of India level tournaments for example, Garena's Free Fire, and and as they say, right, this is just the beginning, right? The end objective, the vision is to actually just make sure that India, the billion plus people that we have, actually carry their weight on the global esports map. So we're just making smaller steps as of right now.
Awesome. Next question is to Sukamal. Riot Games has always had a very strong community following around the world. It has taken a keen interest in the Indian market over the last couple of years. Tell us about Riot's journey in India so far and some of the unique challenges and solution approach this market needs.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the question. And first of all, Sudhanshu, amazing vision. And I really hope that we can definitely work towards making sure that India is right there on the global map, right? For the long time, for the longest time, even as publishers, we look at the market and we just see a lot of unique challenges, and the opportunity definitely is there. But sometimes, the challenges are so immense, or for example, if you look at some of the problems that are there or the problems from a publisher's perspective, they become so huge that you simply do not want to tackle them. And I think that's something which we can do it together. And I'm sure that with the kind of infrastructure that you guys have built, we'll definitely be able to solve a lot of those problems. Awesome. So coming back to our journey, right? So Riot's journey in India has been a very interesting one, right? So we started off in around 2017 with an initial scope of the market, because we know that this is an upcoming market, and it's going to be it's full of young people who are looking for digital entertainment, and we definitely want to be be in that space, right, very soon. And so we were here in 2017 to form a hypothesis for the market and also work towards forming a strategy and how do we execute a strategy, right? The three key takeaways from that particular phase was for the Indian market was that it's a mobile-heavy market, like Sudhanshu mentioned, slowly starting to experience core games. First of all, second is FPS and action games work like a charm here, validated by some of the titles that you mentioned, like Garena's Free Fire, even PUBG Mobile, and of course CS:GO or CS 1.6 way back when we were core gamers back then. And also the last thing that was, which I had mentioned earlier, is that there's some interesting problems around infrastructure and the size of the market that definitely needs some unique approaches, right? So with those insights, we went back and we took a look at our portfolio of existing game, which was just League of Legends for the PC. And also some of the things that were in R&D, which were going to be seeing the light of the day in a year or two from 2017, right? And then we zeroed in on some of the key products that we believe works for the market, especially in terms of mobile and the genre itself, right? So with that, saying that, so in 2020, we finally announced that we are releasing our mobile experiences in the form of Legends of Runeterra and TFT, and also a PC FPS shooter in the term of Valorant, right? So yes, so from the perspective, we knew that this is the right time for us to come to India and start publishing our titles here, right? So during this whole time, like you mentioned, there's a lot of fan base around our existing game, which is League of Legends PC, which is a marquee for the last 10 years now. And so the main question is are you going to bring this game to India, right? For us, the answer is very simple, right? We felt that we know that India is if you look at the hypothesis, it's a mobile heavy market slowly starting to experience core offerings, right? And we know that we have a mobile offering in the MOBA space called Wild Rift, and we know that that is the game that we want to launch the League IP in India, right? So this IP is going to be experienced as Wild Rift in India very soon. It's in alpha right now in a couple of key markets that we are testing the game on. And hopefully that is the League experience that people will really get to experience with League of Legends in the market, right? And yeah, and I hope that it's an absolutely fresh take on the IP, and we hope LOL fans here will like it as much as we did in making it, right? And we are really working towards publishing all these titles that I mentioned in a way that is meaningful for the region and to our fan base here as well, right? So coming back to the next set of questions that you had is what are the unique challenges that we see in this market, and what would be our strategy for India would be, right? So the first thing, like I said, is the key priority for us is to provide a stable infrastructure that provides consistency in the gaming experience, right? Which is important, right? Otherwise, if the fan delight is not there in playing our games, I don't think we will be able to sustain any kind of a business or a game here, right? That's the first thing that we definitely want to make sure that we get it right. The second thing I think is very important also to address the unique needs of our player base here, right? And for that, we need to have a publishing strategy that is keyed into the needs of our fan base here. We cannot just announce or launch a game here and hope that they will connect with our global beats. Yes, they are definitely going to be watching those beats and interacting with it. But for us, when we say that we want to be focusing on India, it also means that our regional publishing strategy has to talk to our fan base here. What are your needs? What are the things that we can help you with? And that's something which we'll definitely be working towards. And I hope that it resonates with our fan base here as well, right? And the last thing I think is, like Sudhanshu mentioned, that it is all about growing the ecosystem together, right? And the last priority, I think it's also a very key priority for us as well, is to enable our partners, right, who would like to definitely use our IPs to create some unique stories around and products around competitive play, content creation, and access, right? And I think these are the three things that I think we would like to solve at a priority for our market here, and definitely, hopefully, that will bring us closer to our fan base and help us establish our IPs and our gaming experience the way that we envision our games as gamers, and we definitely hope that this will find resonance with our fan base here. So I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, there are a lot of fans here for League of Legends, and now even more fans coming up for the recently launched Valorant that we will get to a little bit later today. We're not going to let you go without giving us more details on that just yet. Coming back to Sikhwarrior and Ace, gaming and esports in India has evolved drastically over the last 5 years. Sikhwarrior, you in fact initially started off in pursuit of becoming an esports athlete before making the transition to becoming one of the most successful streamers in the country. Tell us a little bit about your journey so far.
So, in fact, I started with the Counter-Strike to pursue as a professional esports player, and I made a team. I participated in tournaments, but the lack of infrastructure at that time, because that time was around 2013 to 14, and the lack of infrastructure, because I don't belong to a major city in India like Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore, Chennai, where they already have good infrastructure, like talking about the internet, talking about the gaming parts, which we get easily, and other stuff also, like the servers are very far from our location. So talking about these facts, there was a lack of infrastructure, plus the tournaments, the frequency of the tournaments, because if you are pursuing yourself as a professional esports player, so the frequency of the tournaments also matters. If there are only happening one tournament every quarter, so you cannot sustain yourself, and that too, the prize pool is not that great, because even if you are the best, you cannot expect to win every tournament, and if the prize pool is less, so you cannot sustain for very long. So the infrastructure at that time was not that great, so I had to look up to the other options. So I side by side continued my studies, got some good grades, entered a college, where I graduated from the college, and then got a job. And then I realized that no, esports will not, be it's not sustainable for me, because the input it needs from a person which does not belong from these major cities it's way high. Because I'll tell you one story. I qualified for a tournament for the LAN finals. There was a tournament. I don't remember the name of the tournament exact, Counter-Strike. The qualifiers were in Delhi. I paid and went with my team in Delhi, and we won the tournament there. And the LAN finals were in Bangalore. So traveling to the LAN finals, they were not even paying for it, because if you some organizers pay for your travel, if you qualify for the LAN finals, so they were not paying for so it was we tried our best, but now this has come to a point where we cannot sustain. So it's not possible for us to pursue this more. So I left it, and then I continued my job and started streaming side by side. And then after streaming, gradually people started following the channel and enjoying the content. And uske baad, a lot of people who were new to the game, which was PUBG. Like PUBG at that time it came in. I didn't started streaming because the game was popular, because the game was absolutely new. There was no mobile version of that game that time. I loved the game. I loved the concept. 100 people getting into an island, killing each other, getting the chicken dinner. So the concept was great, and I enjoyed it, because coming from Counter-Strike, playing for so long, 5v5, like doing so much of strategies, and it feels relaxed when playing with friends and like killing those 100 people. So it was very much refreshing, and I started playing PUBG and streaming it. People came in who got to know about that game, who got to know about my channel, and they started enjoying the content. Then the channel grew, and I thought of giving this full time. So that time I thought ki chalo full time karte hain, and let's see if it is sustainable. So yeah, till then it's now, and we are still doing it.
It's a wonderful journey, Sikhwarrior, that you've had. In fact, I've had the pleasure of watching Sikhwarrior play CSGO and Overwatch firsthand when he was playing it in the competitive scene to where he's come. He's had a wonderful journey. So congratulations on that, man. Moving over next to Ace. Yes, you are one of the top esports athletes in the country, hands down, with innumerable accolades to your name. You've also played for XEN in the SEA region, and now you've made the jump to Valorant, and you've already tasted quite a bit of success in the South Asia region. Tell us a little bit about your journey as well.
So yeah, when I started playing CS:GO, right, we didn't have that many tournaments happening. But I have like my team. I like back then CS 1.6 was still alive in certain regions of India. But I told my teammates like we need to switch to CS:GO, as like we can get a good head start, before before everyone switches. So 2013 and 14 we had a good dominating scene. Like my team was always like coming first. But as Sikhwarrior said about the infrastructure, like events not happening a lot, like one or two events happening per 3 months, like it's hard to sustain as an esports player. And the only good thing about me playing professionally was my family and my cousins and like uncle, aunt. Everyone was very supportive of me, because they saw something like I'm doing something different. Not like I was an engineering student, but I dropped like my studies, and I wanted to fully focus on being like the best esports player in India, and like reach to the like globally. People should know me like, oh, this is Ace from India, something like that. That's one of my dreams. So my full focus was playing like Counter-Strike. I gave like all my 100% playing the game. Like I sacrificed a lot for like being a professional esports player. But yeah, as Sikhwarrior told us about like the events happening, the sponsors, the the organizer, not many how to say organizations supporting, like supporting the game. Like there are very less Counter-Strike, you can say CS:GO organizations supporting the game right now. Like hardly any two or three you can name. Uh, so I had a chance back then in 2018 to go and play for XEN from Indonesia. It was a different experience, but the thing about Southeast Asia countries is similar to India. Like mobile esports is very famous there also. Lack of support, lack of events happening, so it's like frustrating as a professional FPS player, like Counter-Strike player, basically, to like grind every day, but events are not happening, and you have to earn something to like get by like month by month, month by month. It's not an easy job, to be honest. So yeah, that like the journey was not easy, but yeah, I wanted to do it because that I'm passionate about it. And then after like couple of years, Valorant like just came out, and I was like, okay, this is something fresh. I've been playing Counter Strike since like 10, 15 years. I was like bored of that game, like you can say, like frustrated playing Counter Strike for so long. And this was something similar to Counter Strike, because the game is made by 1.6 developers from North America, like Volcano. He's like old school Counter Strike pro from Team 3D, and some of many old school professional Counter Strike players. They have made this game. So the game is basically, you can say, Counter Strike 1.6 with some unique abilities, like something similar to Overwatch and Apex Legends, which I have not played personally because I've stuck with Counter Strike for so long. And when I played the beta version, I was like, okay, this is something interesting. I think I should give it a chance. And as I did with CS:GO, like I took a head start with my team, and I told them I think we should switch at the beta itself and get a head start, and grind this game as soon as possible. This might be the next big thing.
So ever since then, I've been following Ace as well. Man's an absolute magician with the rifles. Has got tons and tons of wads out there. Congratulations, Sukamal. I think you've already won 3 tournaments in the South Asia region as part of Team Vertigo. So, okay, moving on. What you've been here to talk about, Anurag, what are PFG's plans for esports in 2020? We want to know all about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
me too. I mean, like, I'm also curious.
Thanks, Sukamal. Thanks for the support, man. Really appreciate that. So basically, as you've been part of the journey, Sukamal, Kiran with PFG Esports, we are looking at doing independent tournaments. But one change we brought into just doing independent tournaments was that we have setting up a calendar with the partners like Riot and Supercell, where we have already announced that this year with Supercell or for Clash Royale, we're gonna be doing 3 tournaments. All of them are quarterly, and the first tournament is gonna be broadcasted very soon. That's one plan. Then we are also looking at doing a couple of tournaments for PC-based games also. Of course, as Sudhanshu already mentioned, that we have also working with Garena for doing Free Fire. Apart from that, what we're looking at, I'm a strong believer that we need a lot of development at the grassroots level for esports. That is one thing which I've been a strong believer, and that is courtesy my previous stint at Riot. That's where I noticed that there's not enough happening at the grassroots level. So what our plan is to launch amateur league, which is going to be more like a month-long tournament for one title every month. So if you ask me, these are the plans broadly. If you ask for 2020, unfortunately, because of the present situation, we can't be working on offline tournaments, which is again something very close to my heart. And we want to bring that whole esports offline experience even to the amateur level. But that's what we're going to do. We are going to do tournaments, independent tournaments. We're going to do series of tournaments, and we wish to launch amateur league this year.
So I see. Yeah. Yeah, yes, go
I just
ahead.
want to add a bit there. Both Gagan and Tejas mentioned, how when you're starting out, or even if you're getting to, a high level in your gameplay, there is this, or at least there used to be this challenge in having enough tournaments to just sustain yourself as a player, right? Gagan also spoke about, if you're from a smaller town, then you anyways feel like you're losing out if you're not in the city because of all the events that happen, right? And that's where me and Anurag figured out that there are 2 things which we need to do very clearly, right? One is definitely focus on the grassroots. Have that whole, somebody calls it a zero to hero journey, or just from the grassroots to the big stages, right? So make sure that there are enough and more avenues for players who are not pro, who are not even part of teams, to be able to actually compete at a larger scale, right? And if they do well, then there is always a next level available for them. So that's one. So that's where this whole, idea of amateur leagues came out. And, thanks to Paytm, we have a very, very strong reach in tier 2, tier 3 towns as well, which helps us leverage that. The second thing is, making sure there is enough frequency, there are enough tournaments, to obviously sustain the players. And, for us, it's actually helping or being a part of a growing ecosystem, because it's all chicken and egg, right? How do you get a lot of tournaments and prizes so that players sustain? It's if you have enough and more of such inventory, which, then brands feel that, yes, I can engage with. Or I can engage my target audience with. So it's the chicken and egg cycle sort of is broken if you just create a whole sequence or whole calendar of such events, and that okay, this is all going to happen, right? You suddenly start getting more interest from brands as well. And what Sukamal also mentioned, even from the publisher side, there are so many challenges. There's that in a country as big as India, logistics and whatnot, they just, sometimes publishers just decide, I may not be just able to do it. So the idea is create this, huge, massive calendar across games. And I'm not going to reveal any names. I think that I'll leave only for Anurag and Sukamal to talk about. But the idea is to essentially just create that calendar which engages all games players and also engages players at a more grassroots tier 2, tier 3 level as well.
So I think that pretty much sums up what Sikhwarrior Ace also touched upon earlier. The fact that there was a point of time where there was not enough tournaments to go around for someone to actually pursue this full-time and be able to make a living off this. And with the amount of tournaments that PFG is coming out with, and for all categories of players, I think Anurag also mentioned that it's very important to not just activate the esports athlete alone, but also the semi-professionals and the amateur players who now have enough to start that journey and eventually maybe even transition through the ladder and become an esports athlete and maybe even represent the country at international events. But that journey almost never begins unless you have a very strong grassroots level ecosystem to push that player through the ranks. So I think you guys are doing a fantastic job with that. Here's to a lot more esports events and a lot more players coming through the ranks over the year's course. My next question is to Anurag and Sukamal. We now talked about the momentum that PFG is picking up with esports events over the last few months. Let's talk about the ones specifically around Riot's titles. Starting from the recently concluded Teamfight Tactics tournament to the LOR tournaments that are coming up, which Anurag is going to talk about soon as well. Tell us a little bit about the approach and how this is different from a regular tournament and where the road this leads to.
Yeah, Anurag, all to you. I mean, first of all, I think, like Kiran, you mentioned, right? So super happy with the way that PFG, took the TFT IP and said, we're going to, create a grassroots scene around it, and they executed a fantastic event, right? So I think there was a lot of positive feedback from the community itself. We got a lot of messages from people who participated in the event. They were super happy with the way it was announced, it was conducted, as well as the transparency in the way the games played out, right? And I'm like as a publisher, that is what you would like tournament organizers to do with your IPs, right? Take the IP, use a set of guidelines, which we know that it's very different from execution versus the set of guidelines that you actually give out to TOs. But that it really went on as scripted. It was a fantastic event, and congratulations to Anurag and team for being able to to carry out one of the biggest TFT events in the country. And I think I'll just let you talk more about what you have plans for our IPs.
Okay, so major announcement. We are announcing today that we will be doing this year 3 tournaments for Riot's Legends of Runeterra. 3 tournaments. Thanks to you, Sukamal, and all the support I've got from Sudhanshu. So first tournament we are doing in August, and then following months, one is September and one is November. So we're gonna do 3 tournaments, and really excited to enable right IPs for India region. So
quick question.
That is.
I have a
I'm
question.
really excited.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Anurag,
go
but
ahead.
I have a question for you. Can I participate in these events? Because I'm also a Runeterra big player, a fan. I should say, I love to play the game.
So, okay, why do you think we are first announcing LOR tournaments? It's all because we have you as a player, but unfortunately, I am not gonna tell you where you're living, since you're not right now living in India. Unfortunately, you won't be able to.
That okay, I know that the situation is that I cannot even fly to India for this event, but I'm super excited to I would love to experience this as a gamer as well. I know I'm a big time fan of the game, and I really love this game. For the fact that it doesn't really punish me for being old. It actually rewards.
Right.
Yeah, rewards people of our age for being older and more experienced, and that I really would love to compete and play with the other participants in the event. And I'm super excited to to help you guys take it to the fans and do a fantastic event. And this is I believe this is going to be a series of events that you're going to do, right?
So we are looking at doing 3 tournaments every alternate month, starting with one tournament which we're launching in August. The tournament itself is from 8th to 12th August, so that will be our first tournament. Second tournament is going to be in September, and third tournament is going to be in November, with a total prize pool for all the 3 tournaments at 7.5 lakhs.
Oh,
but
awesome.
That's
I
massive.
would love to compete. I would love to compete for that.
But the best part, I know, though we talk about the prize pool, as for me, it's just a formality, because I know what players want is more fame and bragging rights. That's why we play games, man. Money is just a byproduct, but that's
Absolutely.
according to me. So Tejas, you can correct me, and so can Gagan. But I feel as an esports player, of course, we have to look at commercially also. But the major reason is the bragging rights. Hey, I was the winner, or I was the runner-up, or at least I participated in this tournament. I qualified for this tournament. I think that's more important for me to enable than just the prize pool.
So you are not giving me any of those, right? I'm not able to compete. I'm not able to have bragging rights, and forget about the prize pool. I'm not even able to compete. And
we will make sure you compete, but for you have to come to India to play in the tournament.
Yes, I would.
Or suppose you could do something from a distance, which we all want.
Maybe VPN would be a way for me to actually poof this tournament and actually participate. Let's see. I would definitely love to participate, and hopefully that out of these 3, at least in one, I should be able to that maybe fly down and maybe participate in person as well. So let's see. I'm really, and congratulations.
I actually hope that by if let's say November, if not September, things should open up, and you will be able to come here and actually participate.
I just want people to kick your ass, man, in the tournament. I just want that, because you have been bragging enough for your accomplishment in LOR, but trust me, you have not played Indian talent for LOR. That's what
I think luck is on my side, right? So I think luck is on my side, because right now there is no way for you to prove me whatever I'm saying wrong, right? Because I can always say that I cannot fly to India. You are not letting me participate. You're not letting me to compete, right? So as of now, we'll agree that whatever I'm saying about my skill sets in Runeterra stands true.
Yeah, okay. We will take
Unless
it.
proven wrong.
I want you to participate, and on stream, I'm saying I will make sure your ass gets kicked in the tournament by Indian young players. Though you are saying that.
Let's do a deal. So let's say whoever wins, not just whoever wins, but the top 5 players from this event, they will get a chance to beat me on stream. How about that? I'd be very happy to actually have a couple of rounds with them, and let them take my ass and down in games, and really show me who's the boss. I would love to do that.
Done. It's a done deal. We'll make it part of.
We'll make sure that's part of the perks for the
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You have that that in fun fairs. You have this guy who sits on the plank underneath there's a bucket of water down, and whoever throws that apple or whatever ball at the right point, the guy falls down. Right? I'll be that person. Like so, it's like I'm placing myself on the pedestal, saying whoever is on the top 10 list, like they get a chance to beat me, and I'll be very happy to lose to them.
Okay, what's in for those guys apart from getting the bragging rights that they beat head of publishing for Riot? I want that also to be there.
Oh, well, I'll drop them a personal message on their social feeds, and I'll acknowledge that they are the best that this game has ever produced, or whatever they want me to say. I'll quote it with on their social channels.
Done. Then it's a deal.
I mean, with bragging rights on the line, I think that is pretty much the pinnacle of what people want. So absolutely perfect. But Sukamal, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm sure the viewers out there have been waiting for the last 45 minutes for you to address this very question. The response to Valorant in India and how Riot plans to support the competitive scene around its IPs.
That's a fantastic question, right? And I know that it's all been leading up to this particular question since the last 45 minutes, and thanks to all the fans who are still there waiting for some answers or some some talk on these points, right? So when the game was announced, or it went into let's say the beta phase or the closed beta phase, the amount of response we, at least for the North American market and the European market, the amount of response we got from the subcontinent in terms of requests for keys, or even people who were able to hack their way into playing on those closed beta tests, made us very confident that yes, this is a game that will work in this region, and we need to really be prepared for delivering the best Valorant experience that we believe is essential for this game to exist and to really shine in this market, right? So that was the key for us to really have our strategy in place for Valorant, right? So we already knew that this game is going to be successful, and even at this stage where we know that we do not have a dedicated service for the region, the game is doing phenomenally well, and we are very thankful for all the fans out there who are we are playing the game and are giving us all the feedback and love, despite us not being able to deliver the infrastructure at launch, right? Saying that, I think when we announced the game or launched the game globally, we did make a commitment saying that South Asia, you will get a service which is regional and which is dedicated for you. And that is happening, right? So at this point of time, I can say that Christmas is definitely going to come a little early for our fan base here, and we are committed for that, right? So as far as the next part of the question, which is how are we planning to support our IP competitive scene around our IP? So that includes both TFT, Legends of Runeterra, for which I'm really happy that Anurag and team have already taken up the IP and announced a series of events around it. Valorant, of course, and our upcoming game, which is Wild Rift, right? So the first thing that we always try to see is hey, we need to bring the consistency in the experience for our games before we can build any competitive scene around it, right? So that is the first thing. And yes, we are happy to to let our fans know that we are bringing that infrastructure piece. And like I said, it's going to come a little early. Christmas is going to come a little early, and it is happening. I know that we made some commitments saying before the end of the year, but like I said, it is going to definitely happen before the end of the year. That's the first thing. The second thing that we try to do for our games, especially from a competitive perspective, is to enable access for our partners, right? So basically, for example, if we are working with tournament organizers here, we want to make sure that they have access to the IP as a competitive title, right? So that includes licenses to be able to go ahead and do tournaments, creative sets that will enable them to level up their game, and also provide them guidelines and any kind of guidelines or platform access that will improve and provide the competitive integrity in their game, in their events, right? So to make sure that the players who actually participate in the events have experienced that this is an event that is the benchmark, right? So this is where we definitely would like to work with tournament organizers to make sure that they have access to all these three things that I just spoke about, right? And the last thing is, of course, which we know that players, especially alpha players in this, pro players in this region, they hit a roadblock after a certain level, right? So for example, like you're very fantastic at the grassroots level, then you are even very good at the national level. After that, you hit a roadblock in terms of what next. I think that is a question that publishers like ourselves will have to address, especially now that we have we are committed to the market. At the same time, we have products on the esports scene which spans regions and countries, and on an international platform which integrates all these regional leagues and esport platforms and partners as well, right? So I think this is where I think we will have to make sure that we build a roadmap on which we can give visibility to high performing athletes, right? Like Ace and Sikhwarrior, to make sure that that, hey, this is the roadmap for you. This is your progression right from grassroots to regional to, let's say, to national, and now there is a bigger stage for you to go and showcase your skills. I think these are the three things that we would like to work with tournament organizers in the region and give them this visibility, and also to our fan base, saying that we are not just giving you a service which is consistent, we are also enabling tournament organizers to use the IP and to create those esport products for you. And then finally, the premier or the top tiered part of esports is basically, hey, how do I shine on a global stage? And this is where I think we will definitely have to come back with a roadmap by which we can give visibility to high performing athletes on how they can really shine on a global stage. So to answer your question, yes, these are the three things that how we believe that we can work with TOs and create that ecosystem by which we put India on the roadmap, on the global roadmap, and really give platforms to Ace to not just be known as the alpha shooter in the country, but also one of the best performing athletes on a global stage as well.
Sukamal, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You said Christmas is gonna be early for all the Valorant fans. My question is, how early? Give us some tentative. Is it closer to Christmas, or one day early, or 1 month early? Give us some indicative, man.
Okay.
I'm coming as a fan of Riot.
Okay. So let's say it's definitely going to come earlier than the month of Christmas. So it's not going to be a little early, but I think it's going to be a lot earlier than Christmas.
I know you can't disclose the date, but I think that gives me quite a bit of idea. So if you're saying it's gonna be early and quite a bit early, I think I'm happy. I don't know about other people watching, because I'm reading the chat and everyone is asking they want India server. So do I. I want an India server.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I said, I would love to now that we are going to be part of this the MENA region, right? So with Middle East, North Africa, and India subcontinent, right? So we are all going to be part of this region, and yes, I mean, hopefully I would be able to be there in person as well later this year when the server is launched. But if not, then at least I will not be limited by your restriction of saying you have to play from India to participate in any kind of your events. So hopefully that should be resolved once we launch some regional service for the whole region, so that playing from anywhere else will give you that consistent experience by which you can be competitive and not have to really feel that you are not getting the best infrastructure to really shine, right? So that problem should definitely be solved before we unlock our publishing and our esports calendar for Valorant as well.
Great.
Next one's a short question to Sikhwarrior and Ace. Both of you guys have played a ton of Valorant ever since its beta launch. How do you guys think the game will affect the current market in India, taking into considerations the plans that we shared today as well?
So I think this game is targeted for all the gamers out there, those who have an old PC, those who have a mid-range PC, those who have a high-end PC. So all these gamers are able to play this game, and this creates so much hype, this creates so much passion to all the gamers, so that they can focus on their game, should not be worried about the hardware they have, and they can enjoy the game with little low budget PCs, which if they have, and if they have a better PC, then obviously it's a very good thing. And that's what creates the hype around this game. And plus the game is free to play, so free to play games plus a game which runs on low budget PCs, this is already creating hype. And a lot of people who are new to the game, new to Counter-Strike, they have never played Counter-Strike, and they are tuning into this game, and they come to the chat, they come to our streams and ask give us tips, give us tricks, like how to play this game, how to aim properly, how to like what's the strategy behind this, what character should we choose, everything around Valorant. They ask us, all the streamers, not just me, all the streamers who are streaming Valorant. So this shows that people are curious about this game, and if they get the infrastructure that they deserve, this will create so much hype about this game, and it will put India on the roadmap along with other countries, and they can participate along with the other countries in the tournaments, like global tournaments, and they can outshine a lot of other teams also.
Yeah. Ace, your thoughts on the same?
Yeah, exactly like Sikhwarrior, what he said. Like this game can be played on low budget, high budget, like medium budget PCs without any issues. Like the game is like well optimized for every rig, you can say, low end, high end, mid range. And as Sukamal said, like the Christmas is coming early, like the South Asian servers. So I guess the organizers, like the sponsors who are very much interested, I think if we get our own South Asia region, there are going to be a lot of teams, a lot of players playing this game. And as Sikhwarrior said, people who don't have FPS experience or background, they come on my stream also. They're saying, "Bhaiya, game kaisa khelna hai? I'm new to FPS. Teach me, give me some tips." So it's like, yeah, the game is like, it's it's different. It's unique, like mixture of CS and everything. So it's going to get big, guys. It's going it's going big.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the insights, Gagan, as well as Ace. With this, we are done with the first segment for today. Sudhanshu, we bid goodbye to you. We will catch up soon again. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us those wonderful insights on the plans for Paytm First Games in the esports segment for the months and the next year to come. So thank you again for joining us.
I had a question for Sudhanshu.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so many of my viewers were asking about if Riot and Paytm are going to work together or bringing the Valorant points to purchase Valorant points via Paytm.
Good one. I like that.
Good question, Tejas. My short answer would be, we are already talking to, not just Riot, but a lot of publishers to make all these in-app purchasing easy, right? And it's in the roadmap, it's in the plans, and as to when exactly does that happen, I think we're still figuring that out with everyone. A lot of the integration is happening, but the idea is, one of the questions publishers always wonder about the India market is, I'm not able to monetize really well, right? And monetization, especially when that happens through IEP, that is going to change, especially with mobile payments and easy purchase flows. So yes, short answer is we are working on that.
No.
So I'll leave that to then Sukamal and Anurag to add on to.
Yeah. I think just to follow up on what Sudhanshu said, I think the biggest currency that we see people spending on Valorant is their time, right? So that is the value that we attach to people's time, and I think that is the greatest validation that they love the game, right? And that is priceless. We cannot put a value to saying, okay, if, for every hour, this is the value that you put to you as a user, right? So we appreciate the people spending their time on it, and that is, I think, the more than enough for us. But yes, in the scenario that there are some unique experiences inside the game that you can definitely choose to purchase to make your experience even more customized. And like on the longer run, the way that we look at it is basically how do we enable that experience for people, right? And we are definitely talking to various partners to see how we can unlock that so that people can pay with their preferred method of payment, be it UPI, be it either wallets or maybe even bank transaction. As of now, it is not enabled, but definitely, like I said, it will come in stages. First of all, we need to make the gaming experience the best that they can have for competitive play, and after that we will make sure that our publishing is going towards, let's say, enabling local payments to make sure that they can also own a piece of that experience which says this is me, this is my game and this is me inside my favorite game. Yes, that is the answer for to your fans. It is coming.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank Thank you, Sukamal. Thanks again, Sudhanshu, for joining us. For you viewers out there, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. When we're back, we're going to take some questions from you guys. So all you got to do is hashtag PFG host followed by the person you want to ask the question to, followed by the question. Again, repeating it, it's hashtag PFG host followed by the person you want to ask the question to and the question itself. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Where Are We and What's Next by Paytm First Games as well as Riot Games. I'm ShaDeSLaYeR, your host, and joining us back are our wonderful panelists. Let's go ahead and dive straight into some questions here. I'm gonna quickly go through. All right. Hashtag. This question is for Sukamal.
Okay.
When will Wild Rift launch?
I have that question also for you, Sukamal.
Yeah, but like I think that's a $1 million question. Right now, as of now, the game is in like alpha testing in some of our key markets in SCA as well as like in South America, and the results have been very encouraging. And let's just say we are like trying our level best to make sure that the game is ready for 2020. But again, like this is something which you can definitely expect a much more detailed response very soon, right? And right now I know that 2020 has been like an amazing year for us, right? So we not just like became Riot Games, because earlier it was just one game for us. We became a multi-game studio. So sometimes it feels like, hey, there are 4 products out in the market, and we have to take care of the fan base as well as the product for each of these games. So it becomes a little like juggling 4 balls in the air, and all of these balls are equally shiny, right, for us. And so to answer your question, there, we're trying very hard to come up with a very detailed response to those questions of saying when it's going to launch. But trust me, when it's going to launch, you will not be disappointed, right? And we will make sure that as far as India is concerned, we will bring the best experience possible. And that is, again, a commitment from us and me personally as well, that when it launches, that it is going to be the best experience that you can have on a mobile MOBA for India.
That's something I'm looking forward to, Sukamal. As you are aware, I started playing League. That is much before I joined Riot on NA server. So I would really love to see for Wild Rift, Indian servers or Indian service at least being enabled for a good experience.
Absolutely.
So next one is okay. Please go ahead, Sikhwarrior.
So I had a question in my chat, why the publishers are actively launching the games first in America and Europe markets always? Why is it happening nowadays?
Oh, some of it is it is like, it's not by design, but it is incidental, right? So the reason is basically you have to understand that game teams are also based out of certain geolocations, and they're, because of the fact that they have these games have been published in those regions with a fan base that is more matured with that IP as well as the infrastructure that is already there. So it's easier to test it out there and get some key feedback by which we can ensure that the product is ready to go to market very early, or at least we do not have to do too many iterations for the game to be ready, right? And well, I mean, like I said, we are LA headquartered, primary markets, or the first markets that we launched the games are, at least for League of Legends PC, was in the North American markets. And that's the reason why most of the games, at least from our stable, get a first look in those markets. And the IP already is very well established, right? So if we bring an IP that is not well known and try to do a test here, first of all, we'll have a harder time in getting people to try out the game, as the number of people that we really need to get that validation. And second thing is also the infrastructure is unknown. So a lot of things we are not familiar in a lot of markets where we are not present, and because of which the problem becomes even bigger, right? And that's the reason it's not it's not by choice, but let's say incidental, that since we are established there, we know the market, we know that there's a fan base as well as the infrastructure is set. It's easy for us to do those key tests and make sure that when these games come to other markets, when for India for that matter, it's a matured game. We do not get a game which is half-baked. It's a game that you will be very happy playing. And that is the reason why.
Thank you.
The next question is to Anurag. We were pretty much discussing this before we jumped into this segment. We knew it was heading our way. Why no announcement of Valorant tournaments in India?
Yeah.
Good question. What do you say?
I like Sukamal's poker face though while that question was being said.
I'm just wondering, Sukamal, what do you say? We make Valorant part of our amateur league?
You are the organizer. I mean, my job is to enable organizers to see.
But I want commitment from you also that you're gonna make it enable for PFG to have it part of our amateur league. Then I think I would love to do Valorant. Yeah.
Oh, well, like I said, we are enablers here, and we would definitely like to figure out a way by which we can, bring the tournament experience for our fan base here. And if you have a platform which really works even for people, like I said, there should be no reason why we cannot make it happen for people who are looking for Valorant events in India.
So let's discuss this after this call. How do we enable Valorant as part of our major league? Good.
Awesome.
It's a
Sounds
commitment.
good.
Yeah.
So there's one more question in the
Yes.
chat, if you allow me. So this question is for Sukamal. Since the game cannot be hosted offline or on a PC, how are you planning for small 2Ds to have on LANs? And like, how am I to host, like, if this is from an organizer, how am I to host a LAN in Delhi, like when the closest server is in SCA or Mumbai?
Yeah, so there is one piece that definitely is going to be resolved once we have a local service going on, right? And there are going to be enough tools that are going to be part of the offering itself, so that organizers do not really need to struggle so much to basically create custom games and making sure that they have to do a lot of things to do it, right? So those things, I think, because this game is designed for, let's say, for competitive play, right? And so that means that we will come up with tools play turn into an event as well, right? And like I said, this game is still a very young game, and we definitely want to enable all of that. So be a little patient with us, and we are here not just for a month or for a year, we are here for decades, hopefully with the support of our fan base, and we will make this happen, right? And yes, to answer your question, you will have access to tools which will enable you to to make sure that you have the best tournament experience that you can potentially give to your player base.
Next one is for Anurag. Where will the tournaments be live streamed?
So our first preference of choice for all the streaming is on YouTube, on the same channel that you guys are watching this. So that is our preference, where we're gonna be streaming all the tournaments, like we did for Clash Royale in the past, and that's how we are gonna do the Clash Royale top 8 and finals this time.
There are a lot of Valorant fans on chat who are looking for tournaments, and I have one who's has this question for Sukamal. When will tournaments like Ignition Series have Indian teams allowed to participate?
That is a very interesting question. Okay, so what is the philosophy behind Ignition? Ignition is basically a way for tournament organizers in specific markets to take hold, or basically use that IP to create a property which is getting visible globally, right? And while we are not going to be part of, India is not going to be part of the Ignition series at start, because for that we need to before we can enable competitive play, right? And that is the reason why Ignition is not coming to India. But I don't think in moving on there will be any issues in terms of this particular need, because I think if organizers like Paytm, First Games, if they can create Ignition for this market, right? So they do not really need the support of, let's say, of a different brand to create IPs. For them, I think it's a huge market, and we all know the potential of if somebody like Paytm wants to do something. And I think at the end of the day, we really do not need IP which is existing outside. I mean, homemade IPs can be much bigger and can be equally as of these either IPs that are existing. And like I said, we are building a roadmap by which we can give that platform where alpha players like Ace and and Gagan can also shine on those platforms. And yes, I mean, we are working towards that, and hopefully we should be able to unveil some of those plans very soon as well.
There's another. I have a question from it is related for this only. As you know, all the sports, every sport has a major tournament or major World Cup. Like it is talking about cricket, it's the World Cup, and if we are talking about Counter-Strike, it's the ESL one. So when is the majors for Valorant happening? It's been out for 2-3 months now.
Just 2 months, man.
Yeah, just 2 months. Yeah. I think that is.
But people are excited about it.
A testimony to the fact that that people are super excited about the competitive aspect of this game as well, right? So they would now, like, we already have players like Ace who's already hit Radiant, right, in this game, and like not just on one account. I think he's also going for the second account to hit Radiant as well, right? So they definitely need like a platform by which they can showcase those skill sets, right? And from us, it's also very important to make sure that the roadmap is visible for players, like for like Ace and Gagan. Why should they keep on continue like investing so much of their time in becoming better and better at this game, right? So after a while, it just becomes a road that like a dead end, right? After this, there is no level up, so they become like stagnant. So this is where I think, as a publisher, we have to build that roadmap by which you can say that the sky's the limit. And League, it's very easy for us to for people to to look at League, what we have built for League in terms of worlds and also all the leagues that are running around in multiple markets, to see, hey, when is that coming for Valorant as well, right? And that is, I think the easy answer is like, it is coming. Like I said, but it also is a new game, and we have to get a lot of things fixed and done right before we can unlock that level of like competitive play. So to answer your question, it is coming. And when, just be a little patient with us. We are working to make sure that we don't disappoint. And so we don't want to bring like something which is half baked. We will make sure that like when we do announce, it will be to your satisfaction and we'll deliver it.
I have just one additional point to add to what Sukamal has just said. So as Sudhanshu also mentioned, we want to create the whole journey for esports players. That's why we're starting from grassroots, bringing him to the pro level. We will be doing those tournaments also. But my final vision is the international recognition for all esports players in India. So for that, the first one step we have taken is we are also doing India leg for ESPL that we announced a couple of months back. So the way it works in ESPL, we will give the winners out for India. Then there will be South Asia regionals for that. And the finals will happen in Singapore this year, where all the countries from players or teams from all the countries would be representing there. So that's one vision at Paytm that we have to do a complete esports journey for every esports player, starting from grassroots and not just stopping at India being the India champ, but we want a participation from India in international scene also.
Next question.
Go Ace.
Next question is for Sukamal. We see quite a few League of Legends fans in chat as well. Will there be a server for League of Legends PC as well?
Like I said, the way that we look at India is that we are going to bring a fresh experience of the League of Legends IP, and that is in the form of Wild Rift. And for that, we will we'll stop at nothing and we'll deliver the best experience. And from that perspective, I don't think fans here of the League IP will have a reason to say or complain that we are not getting the due attention. It is going to come, and it is going to be launched at the same time as the rest of the world, and you will get the infrastructure to play the game on it as well. As far as League PC, like I said, the way that we see this game being experienced in India is Wild Rift, and we'll be very happy to bring it to you the way that you would expect a League IP to be introduced in India.
Next one's a question again for Sukamal, this time back to Valorant.
Everybody asking questions for Sukamal. Sukamal, you should be more on this webinars. I am telling you.
I'm very interested in this personally as well. Will there be any Indian agents?
I think it's just a matter of time, right? I think it's just a matter of time before we do get Indian agent. I mean, we have. Personally, I am very vocal about the fact that we definitely need a roadmap of how we can bring publishing closer to our fan base. We need to talk to our fans here in a language which they understand, right? And yes, I mean, if you ask me when, I cannot say, but is there going to be something which is specifically for India? For sure. I mean, that is something which you can definitely take as a commitment. That's something which I'm actively pursuing with the game team, seeing how can we bring it closer to our fans. And if that is in the form of an agent or in the form of a creative set inside the game, which is more relevant for South Asia, it is going to happen. And trust me, I mean, like, nobody other than me, I'm like, I'll be the first person to really fight for it, and I'm going to definitely deliver this to our fan base here.
By the way, one thing I want to add, Sukamal, great. I didn't expect anything less, but the new skins which have come for the game, they are brilliant, man. I loved it so much. I clearly saw on the stream even Gagan buying that, and I know of so many streamers who have bought that thing. It looks beautiful. It looks just amazing.
Absolutely. Thanks to you guys for liking it. I mean, like, it's a very interesting story. So when we were given sneak peeks into the content of the game itself, right? So first of all, we get to play the game before, like internally as well, right? And so there would be sneak peeks by the game team on saying, hey, these are the things that's going to come. And trust me, like, it's like you are in a candy store, right? Because we could see what are the things that are being developed, the things which are going to be deployed with timelines, and things which are, let's say, like still in R&D. And it's like one set after the other. You see, okay, I'm in a candy store. I think I want this. No, I want this. I want this. It's almost like being a kid, literally saying, okay, I want everything. How much do I need to invest in this? Like, oh my God, the final bill. I'm like, even if you get it, it runs into like tens of thousands. You are not deterred, because that is something really beautiful. And I really full kudos to the art and the creative team for being able to deliver that experience inside the game, right? And like I said, it costs money, right?
Yeah.
And for us, still, I think the biggest currency is the players' time that they spend in the game. But we definitely want to make sure that whatever we create for players to own inside the game is going to make you feel very happy. And luckily, so far it has delivered.
So Sukamal, just adding to that, while I was part of Riot, I've been there and experienced that. When before we have a calendar preview before for every game, and trust me, man, it's a one of it. One question I had for you, Tejas, what is your? I know Sukamal will not answer this question, but there have been two champions which have been not officially released, but it has been somebody has mined the data and just talked about those two champions. What is your feel on that? I think name is Shatter and other is Slipknot or something like that.
Oh, really? I have not looked that much into it, but I know one agent is coming in the new battle pass. Would be like a healer or something.
Okay.
So it's like basically an alternative for Sage.
Okay.
So that's what I know about the new agent which is coming.
Sentinel agent.
Yeah, Sentinel agent.
Nice.
Are you guys excited about playing the new agents as well? And just to set a little context. So right now it might seem that a lot of the game feels disconnected, as in you are not able to there's a lot of fan theory crafting around what is the lore behind it, right? And the way that we look at this, these are episodes which have acts in it, like a season which has little bits of information which will lead on to the lore, right? And for us, I think we are very excited to be able to to bring the lore into life as well. Right now, people are playing this as a competitive 5 versus 5, but trust me, as the lore is slowly coming out, you'll realize that there's more depth into these character designs as well, right? Why do they exist? Why do they have those special abilities? And what is so special about the places that they are really playing, right? Why do I see a mirror Sage playing against me? So all those things I think are going to be very interesting when it comes to fan theory and lore, and hopefully we will be able to deliver that little bit of experience back to our fan base as well, and not just hey, pick up the gun, shoot whoever is in front of you, but also hey, why do I exist? So that question will be answered hopefully with the lore slowly revealing itself.
That's brilliant to know, man, because I've seen League of Legends lore. I used to spend 2 hours a day just reading about lore for League of Legends. If you're bringing the same thing into Valorant, because I think Valorant is correct me, Sukamal, if I'm wrong, is the only IP out of LOL world universe. So it would really help if we can, knowing Riot, it would do a great job on setting the lore for Valorant too.
I would.
So
and sometimes. Yeah, so like just a quick note, just adding, so like, it's amazing to to hear a lot of the fan crafting around these lore, right? And some of them are like really mind bending to the point. It's like, how are people able to come up with these theory crafting, right? It's insane. It's full kudos to our fan base who are so invested in the lore itself to be able to come up with those theories.
Sure.
So, I want to ask about what are the plans for content creators for Riot Games, like all the games which are there for League of Legends, for Valorant. What is in it for content creators who are hype making that hype for the viewers, for the people to play the game? What is it planned for them?
Absolutely, and like again, like big shout out to to content creators like yourself who have absolutely taken the game to the masses and really helped help us reach and showcase this game to people who really matter for us, right? And saying so, yes, right now we do not have like a strict way of how we can work with content creators, because for us, we are enablers as of now. Our job is to make sure that you have access to the IP to be able to create interesting content around it, and plus also to be able to use this to enhance the gaming experience for yourself as well as for your fan base, right? That's something which we would definitely love to work with you and see how we can enable even more, right? And as of now, I cannot really tell you more details about how we're going to work with content creators, but it is coming, right? Because in one way of us working with the fan base directly is through our mouthpieces like yourself, who have this platform to be able to to not just deliver the message, but also to create those experiences for our fans, unique ones, right? We look at you guys to be able to craft those experiences, and trust me, we will have a systematic program by which we can work with you. As of now, I do not have the full plan ready, but over the next let's say a couple of quarters, you'll definitely hear more from us directly, and we'll figure out a way by which we can bring those experiences to you and your fan base.
Gagan, I have one request from my son, who told me to ask that question from you. Was that, by the way, he's just 7 years old, but he still asked me to ask that question from you. Is that we see a lot of entertainment in terms of content from you, but are you also looking at planning of doing a kind of getting people how to play Valorant? That part is somehow missing from the whole ecosystem. I know. Shout out to Robo also. Robo is doing great job doing champion spotlights. I've seen champion spotlights from you also. But I think what if you want to grow esports ecosystem, not from the entertainment point of view, but if you want to grow the esports ecosystem, I think you should look at doing tutorials for the game per se. Like it's very hard otherwise to, I know when you're playing the game, you're so immersed in the game that you take an action and you don't have the bandwidth to talk about, because your next round is starting, to talk about why did you do that action. So what my recommendation would be, as part of your series, you should do a replay of your last game, take the points out of that moments, and you should give your line of thought of doing that action, maybe right or wrong. But I think that is one thing which is missing from the streamers in the country. You're great entertainers, no doubt. We love your that, but that educational aspect of the game, why you're playing this game and the reason you're playing, that is also true for you, is because people look up to you. Okay, so if you can also add that as maybe a weekly series or a fortnightly series, I leave that to you guys. That would be really helpful to get people like my son, who's just 7, onboarded on playing Valorant. He's right now playing COD Mobile, PUBG Mobile, his favorite being COD Mobile right now, and Fortnite. But one reason that he's not got into Valorant bandwagon right now is because, unfortunately, the size of the mouse is much bigger than his hand. So that's the reason. But as a learning, you should do a couple of sessions also for the viewers, why you did this action during that time.
So
Awesome.
I would in this, I would say I've been doing some streams with in which I learn about agents live with the chat, and people are enjoying this. Like 2 days back, I was learning a new agent, which is
I know.
Sova, and
So I saw that.
I've been learning it live on the stream, so that people give me feedback, because to teach people how to play, you should also have the in-depth knowledge how the character works. So if you yourself don't have the knowledge, or you have the half knowledge, so teaching people the basics is not just about it. Like, people know the basics, or people get to know the basics, but they are here for the more in-depth tutorial, in-depth guide about the agents. So the future plans are there for me to make a series, and like the whole agents, how they work, and how you can go ahead in the game with that agent. But for that itself, I need to master those agents more and play the game more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a journey, right? I mean, like I think your
Yeah.
fan base would love to go on a journey with you, seeing the climb to Radiant. I'm sure Ace can also give you a little bit of journey insights into how this happened, and it can be a journey that I would love to see you guys to really carry it out, right, from unranked to a Radiant pro player, right? So that would be interesting, the whole journey. Not just the success, but also the not just the triumphs, but also the pitfalls where you did not do anything, could not do anything for one day, right? The whole day you were just stuck on that particular rank, and you're like, I want to break out, all right? I think that would be an interesting concept or a content piece that I would definitely like to watch you guys do.
Just give me just 1 minute to add the point. So there's a streamer called the Strategy Professor for League of Legends. He just plays sport. I know I've showed his streams to Sukamal during my Riot days. He just plays sport, and once a week he gets recordings from other players, and he tells them if he was in their place, how would he play that particular role. So something like that you should do to get him. See, you guys have the experience, especially Ace and Gagan. You've been part of a CSGO scene also. So putting your thoughts, why did you take that action, and explaining that action, and what could have you done right instead of the scene going wrong.
Yeah, need to be done.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we still have questions coming in, but unfortunately, it is going to be a wrap for today. We should definitely catch up again and address the tons of questions that are coming down in chat the next time around. But before we head out, any closing statements, gentlemen?
Yeah, I would like to state that it was an honor to be on this webinar, talking directly to our fans here and players who love our games. And many thanks to Anurag and Kiran for putting together this wonderful seminar. I mean, I know that we all are good friends and we do this on a personal basis as well. But it was great to be able to talk in front of a live audience, especially to people who have questions, and hopefully we were able to answer some of it. And Ace and Gagandeep, many thanks to you guys for bringing our IPs closer to the fans. And like I said, you guys have done a beautiful job in terms of unlocking the game for us in our core region. And hopefully we should be able to keep on delivering on our promises. And very soon we will have a very different set of questions to answer once we are closer to launch and able to deliver some of the things that we have been talking about for a long time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, one last closing comment is that, hey guys, look at this space for more announcement from PG. And I know, as Kiran said, there are a lot of questions which are still coming in. So I want to answer them, but unfortunately, because of the time constraints, we will not be able to. But I want you to just on the comments in this video section, just put up the questions, and we'll make sure that if that question is targeted to anyone, to Sukamal, Ace, Gagan, me, or even Sudhanshu, I'll make sure your questions will be replied in due course of time.
Perfect. Thank you guys for joining in again. Thanks to all the viewers who tuned in today. Hope you guys walk away a lot more informed, walked away a lot more excited about the events coming from Paytm First Games as well as Riot Games. This is ShaDeSLaYeR signing off. Keep gaming. Until next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.